Hey, we're on.
We're on.
Like, this is live.
Whoa.
This is live right now.
It's always live.
If you're watching
It's
this.
always live.
So, we talk with a lot of people that are on the chase for vintage guitars. And we're always on the chase for vintage guitars. And everyone's on the chase for vintage guitars, it seems. And some people have a budget. This seems crazy, but like it might be $75,000 per year to spend on guitars. $50,000, $10,000, $25,000, $5,000, or $500 a year. But in general, it's an expensive road to go down, right?
Yes.
But we're trying to find some ways to not spend so much money.
Scale it back a little.
You can, and it's tough. It's you go on Reverb, you go on the internet, you go to Craigslist or on anything. Craigslist, don't buy your vintage guitar. You might get a good one. That's actually a good way to get a good deal. But
it could be. That's a whole different video.
That's a different thing. But it's an expensive journey usually.
Yes.
And we want to try we got 5 ideas on how to maybe not get bit so bad.
Maybe it didn't have to be quite so expensive.
Okay, so ways to get that vintage guitar. You want to play it, you want to have a real vintage guitar, and you want to be able to tell your friends, and you want to have that pride in that vintage piece there. But you can't buy like the 64 mint condition Strat that you see on Casino Guitars or Wildwood or on Reverb somewhere.
Right.
Number 1, look for a refin.
Refins.
Tell me something about refins.
So obviously, these could be guitars that are there. Well, they will be guitars that they're painted differently at some point. Maybe it's the original color. Maybe someone wanted to change the color. Who knows? Maybe it's cool paint over in real life. But,
right. But underneath that refin is the real deal.
Yeah.
And so if you're willing to sort of maybe do the work to get it, or if you just don't care, I don't know if I would care to remove the refin.
I don't think I would care.
I mean,
especially if it was cool.
If it was cool,
if it
was like a pink chartreuse sparkle, I'm in all the way.
But obviously, if you're trying to keep the cost down, yeah, I would say don't care. Just get a cool vintage guitar that's refin and play it.
And there's plenty out there right now.
There's a ton out there.
Now, number 2, get an offset or an oddball. Some of these oddball, don't get the big 3. Like, don't get the Strat, Tele, Les Paul, or 335s.
Like, you might not be able to afford a 65 Strat, but you probably, or you maybe can afford a 65 Jaguar.
Or even a Jazzmaster.
And
on Guitar Safari later, I'm going to talk about some cool Teles and Jazzmasters that are really decently priced.
There you go.
That's sort of under $6,000 to $5,000 to $4,000.
Awesome.
But no, that's like, look for some of the oddball Gibsons too. There's Nighthawks and weird things out there that even like the Thunderbirds and whatnot. There's some cool ones.
There's stuff that they're not Les Pauls, or SGs or 335s that pretty cool guitars.
Be willing to go outside of the big 3.
Yes.
Number 3, non-original parts. This is not a killer.
No.
This is so what
it could be anything from pickups to different tuners, different hardware, different wiring harnesses. And sometimes, honestly, if you're going to play the guitar, it maybe is a better guitar.
Possibly, because I have a lot of vintage 70s type guitars, and they're okay. I just have them because they're cool and I like them, but they're the pickups aren't the best pickups from 70s Les Paul eras. They're decent, but they have a sound, but it's not the sound I particularly love. If I get a new custom shop, it blows mine away usually.
Right.
Those new burst buckers and custom buckers and everything. Custom buckers, that's what I meant to say, I think. But yeah, so that's non-original parts. There's a lot of guitars out there that have them. Don't be afraid of it. You can replace the tuners really easily if they bother you. The vibratos and trims and all that stuff. I tend to live with it. Like, if it's a guitar I like to play, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. With number 4, it needs repair or maintenance. Now, this can go anywhere from a basic setup to a basic bridge lifting to some saddles being replaced or a nut, or the tuners aren't there. But
the big one, what if maybe the headstock broke off at some point? Is there a brand that happens?
Not at all. I'd say Hagstrom's, right?
Hagstrom's.
No, everybody knows the Gibson headstocks pop off like a Pop-Tarts flying out of your toaster. And I have a 67 SG.
I was going to say, it's great.
It's a great guitar. It's wonderful. It's sitting back behind us somewhere. Its headstock was broken off at some point. I think I paid $650 for this guitar.
Whoa.
It's because it was broken. And somebody's like, give me whatever you give me. And we worked out a deal. I was like, I don't even know. This was a long time ago. Don't get me wrong, but somebody didn't want to do the work for it, and they just didn't really care. And I was like, I'm not going to buy it to resell it. I love the guitar. I put my hand on the neck, I could tell that neck was amazing.
It's a good neck.
The pickups sound amazing too. Like once you get it all, you got all set up and played it, unreal. Doesn't have the original parts either. The pickup's original, but the tailpiece is not original. The bridge, it's missing some of that. I don't care.
I could care less on all that stuff, especially if it's got the original pickups and they're awesome pickups. If you got that,
yeah, I've got a cool vintage '67 guitar that's been beat to living pee land.
It looks amazing.
It does look amazing.
It sounds amazing.
And number 5, which is something that is the most work, but can become the most value in a lot of ways.
Right.
Is vintage parts caster.
Hey.
Now this has been done before by some of the big boys, and these guitars have become somewhat valuable.
Just hacks like Eric Clapton, no big deal.
Yeah, so we got Blackie and Brownie right there off the top. Then we can get into David Gilmour's like 70s.
Yeah.
It's none of these are original, but the Blackie is like a hybrid of all sorts, right?
Right.
And that was used on almost every Clapton Strat record you've heard for a long time until he entered like the late censor period of the 90s. Yeah. But you can find all these great pieces out there. You can sort of buy body, get a 65 body. You might get a 68 neck. You might end up with some custom shop pickups, which is a great idea too.
Well, we've talked about this before. That's sort of the beauty of Fender guitars is that that works. That's fine. You can do that with very little problem or maybe no problem and have an awesome guitar.
And it works to a smaller extent with some of the other guys like Gibson. If you have like a hollowed out body, right, which I've seen, and we've even seen it at Guitar Center, like here's the body with no pickups. And it's still pretty expensive sometimes, especially right now.
That was like an Epiphone, so that's...
Okay. It was expensive, though, for an Epiphone. But, hey, it's a vintage Epiphone, maybe. It wasn't. It was like 2012. Which is, God, that's almost going to be vintage one day.
One day it will.
No, but you can find, like, old hollowed-out 355 sometimes that somebody's taken the PAFs out, and it's just still empty, and they're selling the shell of it. Buy that thing and buy some vintage correct pickups, even. You might not be able to get PAFs. You might. We have a gold top in here that has 59 PAFs in it that were switched out from the original custom shop buckers that were in there. And that guitar sounds sweet and delicious.
Yes.
Like an apple.
That's a very Greg Koch moment there.
I was watching Greg Koch this morning, maybe like rubbed off. I didn't
you were like channeling Greg Koch.
I couldn't scream though. I was watching him because I was just trying to like listen to a Tomatillo pickup from Fender,
right.
And then he started going woo scabba-da-ba. I was like, no, I just want to hear what you say about it. He's like, I need like a translator underneath. I was like, Greg, just tell me about the pickup.
Say real words.
Stop playing so well. It's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
He is so good. Side note, watch Greg Koch's videos. He's really good and he's really funny always. He's on Wildwood Guitars.
It's true.
All the time.
All the time.
And they fly that man out there to shoot the videos, and he's a madman when he shoots them. He just sits there for like hours and doesn't stop.
But he's doing that thing now, the Greg Koch Fishman takeover things. It's just him sitting in his little room playing guitar for hours a day.
And then he has his other, like his orange room in his house somewhere. We're
Yeah.
getting distracted. I'm sorry. Sorry out there.
Sorry.
So that's it. Number 1, Refin. Number 2, get an offset or an oddball. Number 3, non-original parts. Number 4, repair, broken headstock. The big deal. Number 5, vintage parts caster.
Easy. Done. Go buy your vintage guitars.
Go get a vintage guitar. Look for those 65, 66, 67, 68, 69 Jaguars and Jazzmasters. They're still reasonable. Everything else is starting to go ape nuts out there. 71 Strat for what we saw for $18,000 like earlier. That's insane.
That is, yeah.
It's in Italy, but it's insane still. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Jonathan?
Hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to click the bell so you don't miss any videos in the future. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next time.